Okay, so you watch Mad Money, you read the blogs, the websites, the street.com, you're on the conference calls, and I do suggest you go to the conference calls. On every website, it has a link. You can listen to the conference call. You can decide whether you think these guys are bozos or whether they know what they're talking about. You are able to do that. You'll know it from their tone of voice. You'll know it whether they seem to know their facts or they're winging it. These calls are produced. They're like productions that you would put on in college. If they can't get it right, you know that they're not any good. All right, so now you're still mystified after you're doing the conference calls, after you're reading the blogs, after you're reading stockpicker.com, after reading all the articles. You still don't get it. All right, then just buy one stock. I'll give you a portfolio of 5 stocks. Buy one of the stocks. Buy one share of one of the stocks. That's okay. You will do much better than the people who buy no shares. I'm going to give you right down the list and why I like them. Okay, now I monitor these. I have a charitable trust. I'm not allowed to own stocks. Why can't I own stocks? Because I could go out tonight and say that I like the stock of Barnes Group, which is an aerospace play. It makes high-intensity metals for aerospace, and the stock will open up 3 as it did today, and the government will say, did Cramer sell that stock and make the 3 points that he initiated? So I can't. Some people say I'm too powerful to own stocks, which is, like, to me, total hubris. What I say is I have a TV show that moves stocks. So I don't own any stocks. I just have a charitable trust. My charitable trust owns these. I give away all the profits. I like to give away everything. It's nice. Stop feeling guilty about the money I made. I like Goldman Sachs. Why do I like Goldman Sachs? Because Lloyd Blankfein runs it. He's from East New York, for those who know New York. Went to public school. He's a total striver like I am. He's all about trying to prove that his company's better, and yet it sells at 9 times earnings. I'm not going to go into the genuine Wall Street gibberish of price earnings multiple, but let me just say this stock is all white albacore, and it trades like oil tuna. Okay, so we get that. We know we go to tuna and you buy the spring water. That's like $2. But then if you buy the one that's packed in oil, it's $1.50. Okay, this is $1.50, and it should be $2. All right. I think that Goldman's the best run firm, and yet it still sells it at a cheap rate versus Merrill, versus Morgan, versus Credit Suisse, versus UBS. It's kind of unbelievable to me. Now, then you'd say, well, Jim's home team, he played for Goldman. Oh, please, I have no home team. Okay, maybe the Eagles. I like Sears. Why do I like Sears? Because it's right now. Do I like Sears because I like to shop there? No, it's a god-awful place to shop. The only place that's worse to shop is Kmart, and they own that too. But there's a guy named Eddie Lampert who runs it. And how do I know Eddie? Okay, well, I started Goldman Sachs in 1982 as a summer associate, and there's this guy next to me. And every night, because I'm a guy who likes to have a good time, every night I'm going out for beers. Okay? It's like, hey, guys, let's go for some beer. And every time I ask this guy, Eddie, I said, come on, man, let's go for a couple. Let's knock back a few. He says, no. So, like, on day 4, I said, okay, listen, are we going out for beer? He goes, no, I'm not going out. I said, listen, what is it? What don't you like about me? We're a bunch of convivial guys. And he goes, well, I'm 14. 14. All of us are 26. He's 14. This is a smart guy. He got in very early. He runs the company. He runs it lock, stock, and barrel. He owns 50% of it. This is a guy I've never bet against. I've always bet with. He's made a phenomenal amount of money. He's the only other guy that had my return when I was at the hedge fund for 14 years. He compounded at 24% after all fees. I compounded 24% after all fees. This is a guy worth banking with. He will turn Sears around. The stock is up gigantically. Gigantically, people say, well, where did booyah come from? Well, that came from people who called in. There was a guy who called in, and he said, look, I don't know anything about the market, but you kept on hammering home the Sears Kmart. I'll tell you why I did that in a second. And I bought 1,000 shares, and it tripled. And what we say down here in New Orleans is booyah. So then people are like, hey, it's like wildfire. It's organic. It's viral. It's not my language, but it is what the caller said. Why did I recommend the stock? I had been knocking Kmart before it merged with Sears. 50, I said sell it. 45, I put it in the danger zone. 40, I said this thing is an abomination. 35, I said it's just a catastrophe. I went to a Kmart. It was god-awful. 30, I just said, listen, I don't know how this place stays in business. 25, Eddie Lampert calls me and says, my mom wants to kill me. She says, Jim Cramer says, I'm an idiot. And Jimmy, you gotta stop. And I say, prove to me otherwise. He spent 8 hours together looking at the books, going over everything. Went out positive on it the next day. I said, time to cover your short, time to buy Sears. Next day I came out, I said, I'm not making the point. You gotta buy Sears. Third day I said, listen, I'm breaking all convention. I'm doing exactly what the suits hate you to do. I want you to buy Sears. They tell you never repeat yourself, keep going. They're wrong. And I got everybody in Sears, and the stock has now been up 6-fold. So maybe I know what I'm doing, but more importantly, Eddie knows what he's doing. You like dividends? I got a completely politically incorrect stock, which is Philip Morris. It's now Altria. I'd never hit my kids, but I would have to hit them if I saw them smoke. Doesn't matter. Altria pays 4% yield, and it's going higher because it's a very undervalued stock. Worldwide, people still smoke. I don't know why, but they do. The company's going to split into domestic tobacco, which is going to pay a big dividend, international tobacco, which is going to grow fast. I like oil. The best oil company in the world is a company called XTO. It is a wildcatter based in Texas. You can go buy Exxon, which is a darn good company. You can buy Chevron. You can buy ConocoPhillips. Or you can buy a wildcatter who can take advantage of the fact that natural gas is at $8.02 and gasoline is paying $3 and oil is paying right now $66 when I left the office. XTO can take advantage of that. Exxon not could do it. They haven't drilled for anything in years. And everywhere they drill, they get expropriated by the government. XTO drills in America. I like that. It's not going to be cut off by the bad guys. And then I like copper and I like minerals in general, gold, because of the Chinese. If you don't respect the Chinese as a country, you're really nuts. This is the greatest engine in the world. I hate it when people bash China because they're the reason why our prices are low, and they're the reason why our minerals and most of our exports are booming. They're basically the reason why our country's in good shape. So, I mean, you can bash them all you want, but that's just stupid as wood because these guys are our best allies. Are they our allies in terms of military? I don't know. Nobody's our ally, except for Britain, and they probably regret that. So, and I'm not a political guy. I could care about politics. I mean, John Cortison was my boss at Goldman, so I vote for him. Elliot Spitzer was my roommate, so I vote for him, okay? I don't care about politics. Politics to me is another waste of time like the medium. I'm into my thing, which is helping people try to make money. FCX is one of the largest copper companies in the world. They just bought Phelps Dodge. They have copper where it can be shipped to China. 10 years ago, America used 30% of the copper, chiefly for housing, and China used 10% of the copper. It switched. Now, China uses 30% of the copper. The United States uses 10% of the copper. It is not a Federal Reserve raise rates play. It's a play on China. Freeport, FCX. Now you know everything I know. You got the whole shooting match.